You're standing at an ATM. The screen blinks twice, then goes dark. You swipe again. Nothing. The woman behind you is already on the phone, voice cracking. Across the street, the grocery store has a line that wraps around the corner and disappears. Inside, people are grabbing things they don't even need. Pasta, batteries, tampons, everything. You pull out cash. The cashier stares at you like you just handed her Monopoly money. That was a Tuesday. By Friday, the gas stations had armed guards. By the following week, they didn't have gas. And everyone around you kept saying the same thing. It'll bounce back. It always does. It didn't. Here's what most people get dangerously wrong about the end of the world. They think it's a moment, one big explosion, one headline, one terrible afternoon where everything changes at once. That's Hollywood. That's not history. Civilizations don't detonate. They decompose, layer by layer, in a sequence so consistent that scholars have mapped it out across empires spanning 3,000 years. Rome followed it. The Soviet Union followed it. Argentina followed it. And the pattern has 7 distinct levels, each one a trap door into the next, each one looking almost survivable until it isn't. The really unsettling part? You could already be on level 2 and not even feel the floor shifting under your feet. So we're going to walk through every single level, from the first crack to total freefall, so that if the day ever comes, you'll know exactly which rung you're standing on and what's about to break beneath you. And pay close attention to level 5, because that's the one that catches even the prepared off guard, and it has nothing to do with food, water, or ammunition. Level 1. The money dies. This is always where it starts. Always. Not with war, not with famine, with numbers on a screen that suddenly stop meaning anything. Banks limit withdrawals, ATMs go offline, or spit out bills that buy half of what they did last month. Credit freezes. The stock market doesn't crash in one day. It bleeds out over weeks, while talking heads on television tell you the fundamentals are strong. In Argentina in 2001, the government froze every single bank account in the country overnight, a measure they called the corralito. People who had $100,000 saved woke up and couldn't touch a cent of it. In Weimar, Germany, inflation hit 29,500% in a single month. Workers got paid twice a day because by lunchtime, their morning wages were already worthless. This isn't ancient history. Venezuela hit 1,000,000% inflation in 2018. A million. That's not an economy failing. That's an economy evaporating. And here's the part that gets left out of every news segment. Financial collapse doesn't feel like collapse when you're inside it. It feels like a bad month, then a bad quarter. Then you realize your savings are gone and you never felt them leave. Level 2. The shelves go empty. This one follows fast. When money breaks, supply chains break with it. Truckers don't drive for free. Factories don't run on goodwill. The average grocery store in America carries roughly 3 days' worth of food at any given time. 3 days. That's not a stockpile, that's a weekend. And it's restocked by a just-in-time delivery system so fragile that a single ice storm in Texas knocked out water for 26 million people in 2021. When commercial collapse hits, the things you buy without thinking, toothpaste, insulin, cooking oil, baby formula, they simply stop appearing. Barter economies emerge overnight. A can of tuna becomes currency. A bottle of antibiotics becomes a fortune. And suddenly, every prepper you ever laughed at starts looking like a profit. One thing I learned the hard way, it's never the big items that run out first. It's the small, stupid things. Lighters, duct tape, reading glasses, the stuff you never thought to stockpile because it was always just there. If you've made it this far in the video, do me a quick favor, tap that like button. Not for the algorithm, because this information should probably reach someone who needs it before level 3 starts trending on the news. Fair deal? Good. Let's keep moving. Level 3. The government goes quiet. This is where the social contract, that invisible agreement between you and the state where you pay taxes and they keep the lights on and send someone when you call 911, this is where it tears. Emergency services get overwhelmed, then selective, then absent. After Hurricane Katrina, police response in parts of New Orleans functionally ceased within 72 hours. Officers abandoned their posts. Some joined the looting. Martial law gets declared, but martial law is just words on paper if you don't have enough boots to enforce it on every street corner. And no government in history has ever had enough boots. At level 3, laws become suggestions. Courts stop functioning. The badge still exists, but the system behind it doesn't. And the people who assumed the government would save them, they're standing in line at a relief center that ran out of water yesterday. The phrase 9 meals from anarchy gets thrown around a lot. It's attributed to Alfred Henry Lewis, 1906, and every single collapse in modern history has proven him right. Society is always thinner than you think. Level 4, the grid goes dark. Power out, water pressure dropping to zero because municipal pumps run on electricity. Sewage backing up, hospitals going dark or running on generators that have maybe 72 hours of diesel. In the U.S., there are roughly 55,000 electrical substations, and the large power transformers inside them? They're custom-built, mostly overseas, and take 12 to 18 months to replace. One coordinated attack or one massive solar event, and sections of the grid don't come back for over a year. Without power, refrigeration dies. Without refrigeration, food spoils. Without water treatment, waterborne disease explodes. Cholera, dysentery, things we associate with the 1800s come roaring back like they never left. Because they didn't. They were just waiting behind a thin wall of electricity. The infrastructure you take for granted, every faucet, every light switch, every flush, is a magic trick. And at level 4, the magician leaves the building. Level 5, trust evaporates. Now here's where it gets dark in a way most survival channels won't touch. Because this level isn't about resources, it's about people. At level 5, your neighbor is no longer your neighbor. They're a variable, an unknown. Communities fracture along every fault line that was always there but politely ignored. Ethnicity, religion, class, street address. Tribalism isn't something that emerges, it's something that was always underneath, held in check by comfort. Remove the comfort, and it surfaces in days. In the Bosnian War, neighbors who had shared coffee for 20 years turned on each other almost overnight. Selko Begovic, a survivor of the siege of Sarajevo, said it plainly. In the first month, people still acted civilized. By the third month, your best friend would kill you for a can of beans. That's not a metaphor. He watched it happen. This is the level where lone wolves die. Period. The mythology of the solo survivalist with a bunker full of ammo? Fantasy. The people who survive level 5 are the ones who built trust before the collapse. Real trust. The kind that's earned over years, not bought with a handshake when things go sideways. A man with 1,000 rounds and no allies is just a supply cache that hasn't been raided yet. I'd genuinely love to hear your take on this. Drop a comment. Have you seen any of these levels start to play out where you live, even in small ways? Because the people watching this video are scattered across every continent, and sometimes the ground level view tells a story the headlines don't. Level 6, identity dissolves. This is the one historians write about long after. Cultural collapse. The shared myths, the values, the sense of we that held a society together, they disintegrate. Moral frameworks shift. Things that were unthinkable become Tuesday. New hierarchies form, and they're based on one thing only: who controls resources and who controls violence. In every prolonged collapse on record, from the fall of Rome to the warlord era in Somalia, the old symbols lose all meaning. Flags, titles, degrees. The currency of the old world becomes a joke in the new one. What replaces it is raw, primal, and deeply uncomfortable for anyone raised in a stable civilization. This is the level where people don't just lose their country, they lose the story they told themselves about who they are. Level 7. The mind breaks. Everything we just walked through, levels 1 through 6, those are external. They happen to the world around you. Level 7 happens inside. Prolonged disaster studies, including research from FEMA and the Red Cross, consistently show that psychological collapse is the single biggest killer after the initial event. Not bullets, not starvation, hopelessness. People stop drinking water, stop eating, stop moving, not because they can't, because they've decided, consciously or not, that there's no point. The body can survive astonishing punishment. I've seen that proven 100 different ways. But the mind has a breaking point. And it's not where you think it is. It's not the first disaster. It's the 20th morning of waking up and realizing nothing has improved. This is why purpose is a survival tool, not a luxury, not a self-help platitude, an actual functional tool. The survivors in every documented collapse, Sarajevo, post-Katrina, the gulags, they all report the same thing. The people who made it had a reason to make it, a child, a mission, a skill that others needed, something that pulled them forward when every nerve in their brain was screaming to stop. Survival is not a physical state. It is a decision you make every single morning. So now you know the staircase, 7 levels: financial, commercial, political, infrastructure, social, cultural, psychological. And here's the truth that ties it all together. You don't prepare for collapse by buying gear. Gear is level 2 thinking. You prepare by understanding the sequence, by knowing what comes next, and by building the relationships, skills, and mental architecture that carry you past the levels where most people fall. That ATM you were standing at in the beginning, the one that went dark, that was level 1, and the person next to you didn't even know the staircase existed. You do now. What you do with that knowledge is the only thing that separates the people who make it from the ones who don't. If this video made you see the world a little differently, subscribe, because the next one goes deeper, and it covers something most people won't figure out until it's already too late.